Life Unscripted with Kevin Shook.
M dash.
Yeah.
Insert M dash.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. I was an English major, and the M dash has a purpose, and it's been forever ruined for the people who know how to use it properly. And so the second that people see it, they're like, that's AI. And I'm like, that's English language, but you can't really use it anymore because it is a tell. And I hate that about AI because it ruined it for people who know how to write properly. But here we are.
Adetokunbo Deshele, he's a friend of mine that's an author. He'll come up here every once in a while. He said that exact same thing. He was like, we use M dashes.
They're there for a reason. There's a specific use case for it. And the thing of it is I actually, I think I saved the chats. So I was using it, like I was just learning how to do it. So I was using it for a lot of different things, not that stuff that I would use in real practice, but I wanted to see like, let's try this thing off for size. What can it do? And writing is, I think me personally, is the worst. To me, it's the only use case that you don't use it. Because I'm like, well, how does an LLM work? It's literally everything that's been said before that's put into a recipe. And then you chop that up and then it gives it back to you. So it's all the things that have already been done. And historically, we have all the things to say about that because what is in the model? What's it trained on? Whose voices? I mean, it's pretty specific about what you can get out of it and what you can't get out of it. And there's nothing creative about it. It's basically like it's math. It's like, what are the things that are most said probability-wise? That's what it's going to give back to you. And
M dash.
And negative. I have all these prompts. It'll always default back to the regular thing. But I have like every time I do a prompt, it's like no negative framing because it's like, well, it's not this, it's that. And I'm like, oh God, because I think, and I asked it one time, and I think I saved the chat. I was like fighting with it. I was like, why are you this way? Why do you do this? And basically,
you ever cuss at it?
No.
I cuss at mine every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because it'll give that back. Whatever attitude you put into it, it'll give you back the attitude.
Well, the sycophancy is real. They're like, you're the smartest. That's the best idea that's ever been had. You are the innovative. You are the smartest person that's ever lived. And basically people get so, now obviously the jig is up, but when it first started, people were like, wow.
I can work with this.
Pretty smart.
They've never heard that a day in their life. Until
like, oh, this guy. So I think it took off for a reason, I think, because of that. But the no negative framing, like, it's not this, it's that. And then the ways that it just can't take sentences and put them together properly. It's more of like basically putting two pieces together, which is like the M dash. And it's like, these are the especially when you're doing, for me, it mostly was stuff to do with business. So it was, things that have already been said before. And it's like very specifically a vibe and a certain way of talking, like, well, power means this. And it's like, that's how it would talk. And it's like, well, it doesn't really though. But what the model is trained on is years and years of the internet of like people telling us to do things a certain way, which are historically almost 87% wrong. I would say more. I'm being conservative.
Is that off Reddit?
Yeah, I know. I love Reddit. Actually,
that's where it gets a lot of its info from Reddit.
Well, honestly, it's the only thing to me, and I know there's terrible parts of everything, but for me, Reddit is the only true source that's left. That's just that and Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I do.
Honestly, it's the only two things that are unsullied by modern life. Because it's like because I just moved here and I'm buying furniture, all sorts of things. And when I tell you it is my dream come true, they're like, we're not going to be home, but just leave the money under the mat and take the chair. It'll be on the porch. And I'm like, I love this so much.
I love Marketplace because you can buy a motorcycle. You can also find out who is newly single because they put up like their wedding rings for sale. It's better than a dating app.
Well, and I'll tell you, because it's honest, and if the honest people stay there and the honest people are looking, it should, because it's like same thing with Reddit. Like Reddit should be more because all the people that know how to behave are already there. Right? That's my theory.
Yeah, I don't belong.
Honestly, it's the
I don't
best.
belong.
Yeah, well, right. They might sniff you out right away and kick you off.
Well, the prank I showed Bud the other day on Facebook Marketplace is, you know how it auto-populates that generic message, is this still available?
Right.
And you could just hit send.
Right.
So if you go to one that, like engagement ring, yeah, and you just
is it still available?
No, I know. You switch it to, is she
still available? Right.
And then they'll be like, yes, are you interested? And they didn't even read the message. They didn't read that message.
Right.
And I'm like, sure, coffee. And then that's when it usually
either gets
weird. The new guy would have liked me doing that.
Right. Either it gets weird or you could potentially
I love the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
I love the internet.
I don't know.
What was internet speeds like in New York City?
Well, I mean, just fast enough to be dangerous, I suppose. I've been through I'm the Gen X of it all, so I've been through all of the iterations where the first computer of the office was at like a workstation and everyone had to wait for it in line to be like, are you going to use the computer? And then the internet came, which was like, again, I yearn for some of the things that it did when it first came about, which is you only use it for certain things, which I think is like still the cardinal rule of certain digital practices. Like not everything can be done with the same tool. Let's put it that way. Right. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of differences between here and New York, and like weirdly, people would say how different it is, and it is. But like, listen, I think the good parts of anything will always find each other and like rise to the top, right? So it's like bad actors, nefarious practices, all the things. That's going to be everywhere. I think the cultural norms that go along with it are so different, but people are people, and people have been peopling the same way since forever. So I'm excited for the newness of what I was doing in New York is definitely not what I was interested in doing somewhere else, because it just shows up so differently. But that change happened before I decided to move here, which is good. So it's not like I decided to move here and then I'm like, I'm going to change everything. So that was like an evolution that happened, I would say about 6 months to a year before I moved here.
So for like people watching or listening, all three people that watch this, my mom.
Listen up, folks.
Yeah. So
gather around.
So just where did you grow up?
So the story of me and Richmond is because people, since I've been here, have all sort of had the same glazed over look. They're like, "Where'd you move from?" I'm like, "New York City," and they're like just like there's a silent pause, and I'm like,
"Concrete jungle,
right, like,
where
that's the look."
Right.
So in the 1960s, my grandparents moved here because my grandfather worked for Ford in Connersville. Mm-hmm. They built a house. My aunt and my mom were teenage-ish age, and my aunt stayed because my grandparents ended up moving away after that. My aunt stayed here. She went to high school here, raised her family here. My mom moved to New York City. Met my dad, born and raised in Brooklyn. So East Coast all the way for me, except for when my grandparents moved, they had a farm in Michigan, in Dryden, Michigan, for all of you Michigan folks out there, if you know where that is. It's by Flint. The only reason most people know that is because of the water.
The water, yeah.
However, it's highly recognizable as far as location. So I spent every summer there on a farm from when I was born until I was about 13. So I have the Midwest in my blood for sure. And then my mom came back after living in the East forever in like 2011, 12. And then when she passed away in 2024, I had half of a house anyway. And I was and actually that's how segue into how you and I know each other, because shout out to Jason and Chandra Falcon. I've also known my family for a long time, and I was about to sell the house. I called up my wife and I was like, I have an idea. Let's move to Indiana.
And she said, where's that?
And she was like, click. I was like, hello?
Divorce papers.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, oh, look at this. Well, we had been trying to get out of New York for like 5 years, and we looked up in Boston because that's where my wife is from. And we looked in a bunch of suburban towns, and although great, it didn't seem right for us. We looked, we tried. It didn't seem like the right move. And I think we would have if it made sense immediately. And we're just like, I don't know, this is right. We don't have kids. So that's a lot of where people move in schools and all sorts of things.
This is where we plug in Freddie, though.
This is Freddie's shout out. I have the best Chihuahua.
Basically your kid.
He is. But don't have to worry about schools for him. So, yeah, we just took a shot. I mean, it was just like, I think we were so ready to get out of New York for something. And we could have moved to a suburb of New York, which was like Jersey, Long Island, but like same thing as when we were up in Boston looking. Like my wife's from there. It's like, who wants to move to a suburb of Boston if you're from there and that's not the next natural step? She's like, oh, I don't know. So I'm like, I don't want to move to Long Island. No offense to Long Island. I love a lot of great people from Long Island, but I'm like, I don't want to live there. So to me, it's like we went so the opposite, like completely changed it up. You know, going from New York City to the Midwest. I mean, that's doing it. So yeah, I called up my brother and I was like, well, I'm not going to sell the house, but, you know, so we, you know, bought him out and, you know, took ownership of the house, and we've been here since the beginning of June. And I mean, I will say, I don't think that, I mean, I knew because I'd been coming here and visiting my family or whatever, but, you know, Indiana's not on the radar of a lot of people. So when you say Indiana, people just don't even know what to expect or what the landscape is like. I said to my wife, I'm like, you will be surprised. Like, it's beautiful. Like you drive, I mean, we're in Richmond, right? So you drive 5-6 minutes down the road and there's just like open fields for days.
Yeah, you farms. Probably, did you ever turn your high beams on when you lived in the city?
Only by accident. Like
I thought about that when I lived in downtown Indy for 4 years.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I haven't turned my high beams on in a long time.
Right. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, it's such a weird thing to say, but it's absolutely true because you look around. I mean, there's not a street light in sight around there at night. So yeah, I mean, it's so new. I mean, I haven't even had my head above water even to think about work at this point. We're just sort of like, you know, getting the house ready and all sorts of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's a whole new thing. And so how you and I met is once I decided to call Chandra, I'm like, well, I'm not going to sell the house. And actually they were so sweet. They were so happy. I mean, they were like, oh my God, it's so great. You're moving here. And so I asked them to get on a call with me about 2 months later. I was like, you know, I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. I mean, my family's here, but besides that, I don't know. And they gave me like a list of people, and they're like, if you ever want to do a podcast, Kevin Shook. And so I called you, and, you know, obviously we hit it off or whatever. And we have a lot of sort of overlapping business interests and, you know, potentials to work together or whatever. So yeah, that's how this endeavor came to be. All 5 of you who are listening, and Kevin's mom. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I don't know what to expect in a lot of ways, and I think that's the part I like about it. So I don't know what's gonna happen.
It's crazy because, you know, I'm like the big Gary V, you know, fan. So I see all of his shows from his office, and when he's in his office and overlooking New York City, and then, you know, on TikTok, there's a viral sound that it's like, good morning, New York City. And it sounds like old timey radio.
Yep.
And people overlay videos of New York City, the sky and everything. But
yeah,
like anything, you said it kind of to you've told me it kind of has an expiration date, it feels like, or something.
Well, I think, you know, if that's, I don't know. I mean, I've lived there right outside of the city, in the city for most of my adult life. And when you're younger, like anywhere, it shows up differently for you. You're going out, you're going to restaurants, you're going to bars. And some people do. It's not age specific, but for some people it is. And, you know, I mean, I've been there and I feel like I've done all the things. I mean, we lived uptown, which was the most amazing, most boring part of Manhattan, which is the Upper East Side. Loved it. We were within walking distance of Central Park. We walked to the Met every Friday night.
Were you there on 9/11?
I was actually, there was a small stint of my time in the East that I lived in Jersey City, and I had an apartment that had like something like the 14th or 15th floor on the water, and it was right in front of me. I actually videotaped it. I don't have those videotapes anymore, but like with an actual camcorder, I was out my window filming it. I think probably subconsciously I lost them on purpose because whoever wants to see that again, but I wish I still had them. It was terrifying. And I remember my grandmother called me when she was a bit of a clairvoyant. She knew. When the first plane hit, she called me immediately and she's like, something's very, very bad. Are you okay? I said, I'm actually still home. And she's like, just stay home if you can. And I was with my girlfriend at the time was already at work. And then I ended up, long story short, cut to, I had this like little Honda CRX. I love that little car. I almost got arrested that day. Not that they had any time to mess with me, but I was like driving down one-way streets because she was trying to get home. And so she ended up, I mean, it looked like something out of a movie. There was like a triage down in Jersey City, like by the water where people were coming off all the ferries. And she's like walking down the street. It was like The Walking Dead. She was like walking down the street with like dirt all over her, barefoot, holding one shoe.
Where was she at?
She was in the city, like downtown Manhattan.
Really?
And just being able to just get out of there. She like took off her shoes because people were running. And I'm like trying to get her because all the phones went out, actually. You couldn't really, I mean, this was back in the day. I was like, hello? I mean, basically, it was like, I was garbage. No signal, was whatever. So we were able to communicate. She's like, I'm coming here. So I was like trying to find her, driving through basically what looked like a hospital triage situation. There were people in cots. It was crazy. And so I finally found her, and I'm like, but literally I was like driving down one-way streets, and I was like being pulled over, and I was like, ew, and I was like just driving around. It was terrifying. And then the city, Jersey City even, because there was like, I think there was a mosque that was right there. And so there was like maybe some people that they thought were involved. So, I mean, there was like armed guards on every corner for like 3 months. I mean, it was so weird. It was a very surreal time. I mean, it was bizarre. And like I said, I don't know whatever happened to that, but I was like hanging out my 16th floor window. I mean, like literally filming it go down. And I had a pretty decent view. So
you filming the collapse? Did you see the second plane? Or
no, not from where I was. It was too far away for that. But I mean, and then the what's so weird is that the smoke that stayed there for so long, like people don't even realize how, like just this black plume of like, it took forever for that thing to clear. And that was like, it was wild. But on to happier things. So the expiration date of New York, I think for us, I mean, to give you context, I mean, people who live in other places of the world, we didn't have laundry in our building. So I was, walking down the street. Our parking garage was over a mile from. Yeah. So I had to.
Hold on. So, say that again.
Okay. So for those in the back, I'll say it louder. Our parking garage, where you park your car, was over a mile and a half away. Okay. And you had to call an hour in advance. I need my car at 10 a.m. And then you had to take a bus. And I usually would do the walk, but it was a bit of a slog just to get the car. And my parking garage price was more than my mortgage and most people's mortgage payments. Just the garage. It's. You
had to call them, and then you still had to go get it. So it wasn't like valet.
Well, I mean, valet in the sense where they pulled it up to the little, like it's like a proper parking garage, so they pulled it up for me once I called it, whatever. But I would take a bus to get the car. I mean, it was like. And again,
why even at that point? I feel like it's like, why have a car?
Well, the only reason we got the car is because during the pandemic we lived in a really, really small apartment, and so we packed up and bought a car. And it was during the time of the pandemic, and if anyone bought a car during that time, you know what I mean, is that it was very difficult to get a car because everyone was buying a car. And we rented an Airbnb in Colorado, and we drove across the country and stayed there for like 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so all we could do was go to Whole Foods and hike. And that's what we did, to be outside, because we lived in Brooklyn, and it was. I mean, we couldn't have survived it in that way. It was just too small. Brooklyn, I mean, parts of Brooklyn, if people don't know, if you're not from the area, Brooklyn, these parts of Brooklyn, especially where we were out pretty far in Brooklyn, those neighborhoods were never meant to be, convenient necessarily. It was like, I can't get a prescription filled at CVS, but I can have artisanal pizza. It's the most inconvenient. I'm like,
well, that's the whole script thing.
Yeah.
That's hilarious because you can go to a doctor's office and they prescribe you something, but they don't have something there.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, like the functional parts of Brooklyn, we were just like, what are we even doing here? We couldn't get anything done because you were like, and this was early pandemic where everyone was like washing cereal boxes. Wow. And everyone had gloves on. It was brutal. It was just like not a thing I don't think we could have.
What's your favorite cereal?
I mean, back in the day, my favorite of all time, Fruity Pebbles.
Mine was Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I'll tell you, have you heard of Magic Spoon?
I have. It's like they redid all of but like healthy, right?
Like, yeah.
I haven't tried. Have you tried them?
Yeah, they sent me a spoon, and the spoon's awesome because it literally, the handle of it is a straw.
Oh, so you can do.
So you can be like, oh, wait a minute.
Nice. So you said you lived in Indianapolis for a while. So you're definitely, so you're not from Richmond originally. You said Lynn, right? You're from Lynn?
Yeah, half my family was in Lynn, half of them south of Richmond.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
And you lived in Indy though, in the city or outside?
2008, 2012, I lived downtown, a mile east of the monument.
So I've been to Indy. That's city living.
Yeah. And when I first moved there, I moved there to do EMS. I was a civilian EMT.
Right.
I moved to Highland Avenue, right at Washington and Highland, 18 North Highland. And I was like, oh my God, a big city. This is, and I loved it. I loved it. No matter what you wanted to do. Like the first 2 years, I was a party animal. Right. Second 2 years, I got into more health and fitness.
Well, because you could use either public transportation or walk. You didn't have to drive, right?
No. And I would drive, like soon, when I moved there, I would always drive out to the east side to do my shopping and stuff. Right. Because I was afraid to even try to drive downtown. I'm like, let's just drive downtown. Yeah. And once you do that, it's not a big city. It's literally, I compared it to Richmond because you have your Maryland, that's a one way to the east. You have your New York, that's a one way, I think, to the east. Michigan, a one way to the west. Pennsylvania, one way to the south. So it's it's set up. All your like one ways are just like Richmond. Yeah. North A, South A, 8th and 9th. So yeah, after I realized that, and they do a grid system, they do a coordinate system. So Meridian in Washington in downtown Indy is 00. Okay. Washington and Post Road is 9,000 and 0. Got it. So they do a coordinate system. So when you're doing EMS, right, you almost don't even have to have an address if they just gave you to the thing, right? If they said like 8750 east, 0 north, 0 south, then it's right before Post Road. Yeah. But I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And I didn't plan on moving. It was just a career offer. Right. That the only reason I moved back. But yeah, a lot of people have asked, did you move here for work? Because like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense as far as what the normal trajectory of what people do. Is most people do the opposite, where they're like move to the city from somewhere else or whatever. But like I said, when imagining like, when you're from somewhere, just like people here, we're like, I can't wait to get out. Like, I think it's just always going to be the thing that you wanted. Well, I think in our age ranges, we tend to want to keep going to the next place. Right. Whether that's work, whether that's where we live. Like, I think it was the generation before you. I think, are you considered a millennial? Oh God, no. No, I'm Gen X all the way. Gen X. Yeah. I'm the upper end of millennials, I think. Right. I'm 41. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So you're a little bit younger than my wife because she's right on the cusp. There's certain if you read different places, she's like 1980. Uh-huh. So it depends on who, is doing the calculating. Sometimes she's like a millennial or a very, very late Gen Xer type thing. So what was the one before you, before Gen X? Baby boomers. I think those are the ones that tend to stay in an area forever. Right. I mean, because for the most part. Right. Yeah, I agree. Or in a job position until that pension. Yeah. I mean, you could. I mean, and it was after the war, right? And so those people grew up in that 1950s and everything was build. And like all the, the terrible stuff that we now know and we're trying to get rid of was just happening behind the scenes. We just didn't live in a culture where that was out in the open, where, I mean, we don't need to tell that story. So it looked great and rosy on the outside. However, there was a lot of structural things that were very, very detrimental that we're still feeling the wrath from now. In every way. And organizationally, like I said, I mean, most of the things, from a corporate America standpoint, most of the problems that still exist are the archaic structural norms that people put in place,
literally when people came back from the war. They're like, let's make business just like the military. And that's how they structured it. And it's hierarchical, and it was based on powers concentrated at the top. I mean, it just started wrong.
Dictatorships.
Yeah, it started wrong. So, and when I say wrong, I just mean like over time at scale, it couldn't grow into something different. And then when different people were entering the workforce, and obviously like technology, it couldn't adapt, right? And so in the mid-90s, right, well, even earlier than that, people were like, I work at a machine shop. I do this, and I put this up here, and I put it down. It was very easy to quantify and measure how much money you're making versus how much money it takes someone to do that, right? Because it's a physical product. It's like the Industrial Revolution. It was like, it made sense. It was math. It was like effort in, product out. That's what math is. And then in the 1980s, 90s, knowledge work started to be a thing. And it's like, how do you quantify how much value I place on what your output is as a marketing person who's sitting at your desk on a computer, sending emails? And like the whole system broke, and they didn't really necessarily course correct, but the right trainings involved to really understand how to, measure value. And if I had two bumper stickers, I would say number one is people say like, oh my God, operations is a cost center. I'm like, oh, it's not though. It's not. Operations is also not a department, right? So these are the things that, just to give you context, all of our 5 watchers, the type of operations that I've done. So I'm a career project management operations person. So I'm on the ground floor of most things as a trade my whole career. So I know and have had to suffer through how things work. So when I say operations, like I mean specifically operational workflow, like the things that you do to output, deliver whatever products and services that you do. Don't care what it is. It's a widget, it's a service, whatever it is. There's the way that you get things done to delivery. Is that successful? Are the people buying your are the people buying your things? Do you have enough money because you're selling your things? And to me, right, so that's, if you're a person whose career is based on delivery, which is, I'm the goal person. Like you have a goal, like I need this to be done. That's where I live. And everything else north of that, depending on where you look at it, is most of the ways that you can define what the problems are. It's never going to be at the point of delivery where people are like, we need new technology, we need new project managers, we need new something. And it's like, well, do you though? Do you? Well, let's find out why. And you start pulling that thread, and the only way that thread goes is up, right? And there's one thing that you have to sort out, which is the leadership part of it. Whoever's designing your environment, whoever's in charge of the things, it's not going to be at the end of, like, when you think about FedEx or UPS or a person, whatever, Amazon, something coming to your home and the box is squished and everything's bad. It's like, that's not where you start to find the problem. You know what I mean? Like, even if it is the driver, like that, and it could be or it couldn't be. My point is to say it's like a plumber, like I only fix faucets. Like, well, that's not really what's wrong. It's behind the wall. It's the pipes. Be like, no, we just fix faucets here. That's all we fix is just the thing where the water comes out. And I'm like, well, that's probably not where the problem lies. But structurally, that's, I think, where people, if they don't know, they look at the source of like the last mile or the, you know what I'm saying. And that's not correct.
I'm still stuck on the bumper sticker.
Oh, so the bumper sticker.
There's a third one that you have to.
The first bumper sticker is number one: is operations is not a cost center, because when they decided that was a thing, it was in the mid-century. It was an accounting principle because they didn't place value on that type of operational value of fixing. Like, one of the best things to do for like a service-based organization is invest your money in training project managers. Dollar for dollar. Based on that old principle, that's not what, like, because people look at that, like they put it in a category, well, that's not going to make us money. And I'm like, yeah, well, if your shit's done right, people will buy more of it, right?
Right.
And that didn't exist yet. Like, that mindset was not a thing. So that's number one. Number two is, what is it? I always mess it up because it actually infuriates me so much. I think I block it out. When people say work, you have to work on your business, not in your business. You know, when people say that, like when people are telling entrepreneurs things, stop working on your business or whatever the thing is, you know that that's also a load of, you know what.
They want to work harder on how to get out of working in it.
Well, the thing of it is people, if people consider, if you are a business owner and you consider when people, you know, say stop working in your business, meaning like wasting time, they call it, doing all of the admin and stuff, like, yes, from that standpoint, you have to look at where your value is as far as where your time is best spent. That is true. However, you do have to spend a lot of time setting that up properly. There's no cheat code and there's no automation and there's nothing to do with setting up good operational principles. Nothing. You can't get around it because everything sources out from there. So I think when people say that, they're like, well, you know, they just want to sort of slough it off. Because listen, if I open a cupcake shop because I'm the best cupcake maker in the world, it doesn't mean that I'm great at everything else. And I think that's what's happening, where people are like, I don't know, get somebody else to do that. But if you're the leader and you don't know how to articulate how you want the business to run, and those, like, it's like, so if you don't know, find somebody who does know to help you. You know what I mean? So you can't just, and that's where, and you and I have already talked about this, you know, people who are, have a company, but they're terrible managers and they can't deal with people, you know, and like those people are going to leave if they don't get what they want. And get what they want, whether that's a process or a tool or the right communication or a toxic work environment, whatever it is, that's on you to figure. If you are if like that sign, you know, the buck stops with you. If that's on your desk, it is your responsibility, full stop, to be able to create an environment where good work can happen. And I'm not saying I know how that should show up for you. That's
every business is different.
Of course, right. And so that's when you hear consultants selling sort of like off the shelf Happy Meal. You know, that's the thing. I'm a victim of my own sort of I guess ideas about how that shows up, because if you go on LinkedIn, there's a lot of charlatans, people selling a lot of, you know, like snake oil of like, every process and this, it's like, get out of here. It's like,
it's everywhere.
No such thing.
It's everywhere.
Right.
It's everywhere. There's local that wants to sell that snake oil and wants to tell you your strategy, wants to charge you a lot of money, and they have 8 failing businesses stacked behind them. Correct.
And you and I've also talked about something we share in common, is the view that marketing is not going to solve your business problems. No, it's only if it works at its core. If it works, then you will get more business. And here's the thing. If you get more business and you don't have good things in place and good operational principles and all the things, well, it works. So when it works well, you will get more business, right? And then if you don't know how to handle that, and if all that inside workings of the inner pieces of a business aren't working correctly, you know, then, my marketing, let's do something different.
And I get a ton of that through many past, current, whatever. Marketing will always work if you give the right effort and you do the right strategy. But what does working mean? Working means it's going to amplify exactly what your business is tenfold, right? So if your business is horrible, don't invest in ad spend. Don't invest because that marketing is going to push your business out there. And if your business is horrible, now more people know that your business is horrible because they're going to have a poor experience. You're not going to answer your phone. You're not going to reply to an email. Yep.
If you don't have the proper resources in place, even for the people, and that's the other thing too, and that's where it comes down to so many people are checked out, is if I already can't handle the business that I have because I don't have what I need, and you're out there getting more business for me, like, well, we need sales, we need money. Well, if it's just math where people are like, well, we need a consultant because we have to, save money. Well, that's not the right question.
No, it's an investment. There's a return on that investment. And you want to make money.
Of course. So, I mean, I guess let me ask you a question. So when you are up against that, right, as a marketer, because you're out there, right, on behalf of the people, trying to get business for more people, essentially, by highlighting in whatever which way they've decided to do that. So is that something that you are able to, like, is it obvious to them that that's what the problem is? There's a reason I'm asking that.
No, it's not, but we make it obvious.
Right.
Because there's a such thing as negative persona. I'm not going to take anybody's money to do their marketing.
Right.
So if there's a negative persona there, so literally if something is in their mind to where they'll blame their marketing because they'll blame their broken system on their marketing. If the marketing's over successful, or if the marketing is not working because there's not people pounding down the door to this business that is non-responsive.
Right. And they've dealt with the customer service.
And they blame the marketing.
Right.
They also don't fit.
Right. Well, and I think the reason I asked is because from the other side of things, like I decided after, many years of being in operations, project management, and all sorts of things. Well, most of my career was in creative. So I had the blessing and the curse of working with every industry because we were just the people who
talk about some of the experiences in New York City with your career.
Yeah. And so everybody would need either printing, design, and we ultimately were, I got into events, experiential marketing, all sorts of things. So in that, right, you get pretty intimately close because the company that I've worked for, obviously, I worked for a long period of time at one particular company, and we shared the value of you're not a vendor or a contractor. The types of clients that we had, we were really partners. And the reason that is true is because the industries that I worked in, I had a lot of banking clients, a lot of finance. So when someone calls you at 9 a.m., sends you the files, and they need that stuff back by noon in their hand, and that's getting it done, getting it packed up, driving through however, New York City traffic, and getting it through a mail room of a 150-story high-rise corporation. That's not going to happen unless you are partnered with people. For me, as a project manager, my clients would know after many years, they don't pad their deadlines. They can't, because if you don't tell me the truth, I can't help you. So basically it's well, at noon, what are you doing with this package I'm going to give you? You getting on a plane? Are you going home? Where's the event? What's happening? Tell me everything, because if something goes wrong, I already have to have plan B in place. At the same time, parallel path. So I have to have my freight guide be listen, I might have to get this stuff on a plane. And these are the high stakes stuff. I didn't obviously do this for every job, but my point is that over time, right, that's a partnership that's based on trust, and that doesn't happen overnight. You don't call a vendor for a printer. I mean, I've started in this industry, basically we were the equivalent of Kinko's, if you remember what that is. Before Staples started printing and FedEx started printing, they were a print shop. Basically, it was a bunch of kids running a copier back then. And we were not that. It was very almost concierge type environment where the clients were very, there was a lot of critical, again, in context, we weren't, saving lives in the ER, but it was pretty intense, the types of jobs that we did. So we were something very different than what people thought of as digital printing at the time, I guess. That's what I'm saying. So over time, you develop these relationships, and so I'm in your business, essentially, because I have to be. Mm-hmm. And so over time at scale, you get to see how different people do their things. How are you getting this done? Right. And so for me, and that's the reason it obviously made a lot of sense at the end of my career that I would consult, because I've seen everything in that. I'm here for the work. You tell me you need something. I can't mess with all that other nonsense. All your politics, all your approvals, all the power struggles, all the hierarchy, all the things. Because if it's in my way, then I can't get it done, right? And so you start to recognize, and you can almost diagnose immediately what the deal is. And I think, again, this is bringing back our conversation of where you are in your career and the ways things have changed. Back in the day, in the 90s, I had art directors, people who are now up here who don't, they don't normally send stuff out now. Mm-hmm. 4 levels down does. It didn't used to be that way. So the person I would be calling would actually be the person who set up the file. And it's sometimes still true, but a lot of times it's a first-year project manager now, or an intern, or whatever, somebody's assistant. And so there's a huge knowledge gap of I'm your files are corrupt. And they're what? Okay, hold on.
What's that mean?
I have to get back to you. I have to call my boss. It's
no.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm sure you can relate to some of that. So you I'm sure wear the hat of a project manager, whether or not you even know that that's part of your job.
I would say 99.9% of our contracts that go out, we don't meet the contract because I'll sell this marketing campaign for 12 months, 18 months, 6 months sometimes, but I don't like to do less than that because you really can't, there's no measurable data there. Right. But, and this contract might say like 3 organic social posts on 4 different platforms and 1 media day, 1 photo day. It might, but once we're inside the business, then we realize like, okay, it needs more ads, less organic. And they're also, now they're more of a partner because they're calling me, texting me at 1 a.m. You know, so, or they need another website for another property that wasn't in that contract or, and I'm not complaining at all, but I'm saying like, once you're in that business with that initial purchase agreement and you're under contract as their marketing vendor, and like you said, you become a partner, but you'll see like, oh, that's not exactly what they needed. Right. You learn more. Right. And it might be like one of my clients, she's a real estate agent locally. And when 3 years ago is when we started together, and that first year, it included like a media day every 3 months, every 2 months, where she was going to come up here and do a bunch of video. Right. Well, I learned, and it didn't have all of her real estate listings in that contract. But what I learned about her is she hated doing videos. And that's after we already did this thing. So I'm like, how about we just do all of your real estate listings and then like film it, photograph it, whatever. And then social media posts from those listings and everything else. So definitely did not meet what the contract said, but it's what that business needed. It's what she needed. Right. And then we go into year 2, year 3, and all I do was take year 2. When I sent my proposal for year 2, it included some ad spend on some listings, but then it included all of her listings. No video day was in the contract, but if she said, hey, I have an idea, I go find her and I have my camera and everything, because that means she's down to do a video. Right. So that's not even in there now. So.
Right. Well, I think, as a way to say, I mean, I would say, especially with anything that's going to be, I mean, the outcome is only going to be based in certain instances on all of the variables that go along with it. So whatever the outcome is, what you expect, all of the variables that I either don't know yet have to be factored in, right? So it's like if I'm selling you X honestly depends on every other thing that has to do with you think you getting to X. And how that shows up, like I said, that's why people, I'm like, I know you're full of shit if I see you coming a mile away and you're trying to sell me some operational stuff off of the shelf. It's not going to happen. Yeah, because there's like overarching principles of like process improvement, right? So to me, like I said, I'm my own worst enemy. The consulting model, to me, it does, like, I'm not a fit for that part of it, the way that it exists in the sense where how people do it. There's like, obviously the big 4, and there's a lot of other people who go in and they send some goofball in and they're like, that's
like really good at talking, but
we'll do all the things, where I'm like, okay, so if you're doing them at some weird level of the corporation and you don't have full buy-in truly for things to really change, then honestly, I mean, like, you're just getting a contract, and that's okay. That's a business that exists, that people just sort of maintain this charade. And I'm like, you do you. I'm sure there's other people who do it differently or whatever, but in my experience, that if you are going to go in to change or help, or like, I'm not selling anything. That's the thing. I'm not selling anything. What I'm doing is that you are in exchange for a fee. I am sharing from my experience of what I know, how to get things done. Then I have to work with you to see exactly what you said. What are you working with? It's like, it's very diagnostic. It's like there's in healthcare, there's doctors, they take SOAP notes, right? And then it's an acronym. It's like subjective, objective, the assessment, and then the plan. It's the same thing. It's like,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's like,
you knew that.
Yeah. It's like, where does it hurt, right? You first have to tell me, because it's like, you're going to tell me. And that's like subjectively, but I know objectively.
What about decap BTLS?
Now that's that's above my pay grade. I don't know that.
Deformities, contusions, abrasions, penetrations / punctures, burns, tenderness, laceration, and swelling.
There you go. Well, do you watch, I don't know if you're a fan of, like, because you used to work in sort of this, or do you watch The Pit?
I haven't. No.
So The Pit is like, it won a lot of awards. It's very popular. It's basically about the Pittsburgh ER. So, and similar to like the show 24, where each episode, I think each season is like a day. Mm-hmm. So each episode is like an hour of that day. Anyway, again, not saving lives, full disclosure. However, there is something very, like, you can learn, you can take, and that's what I've done sort of as, a consulting model or whatever. I love to look at other industries, other ways of doing things, and then apply them. So, because I think it's all kind of the same. Someone's coming in, right? And you don't know. They're just like on a stretcher, and then like someone's like, such as yourself, the EMTs get running down in your head, like, these are the 5 things that, like, saying all the acronyms. And you have to, based on your experience, your knowledge, how you react in the moment, all of those things, right? So for me, operationally, when there's something that's terribly wrong and someone's having me come in at like...
First you're like, is the airway good?
That's right. And then you can map.
Are they breathing?
Right. So, and then you can map, though. I mean, truly, you can make a very clean line to the 5 things that are like the vitals
of a business.
It's the same thing. So to me, like I said, I at this point in my career, maybe 3-4 years ago, even before I started consulting, I mean, especially as a project manager back in the day, inherently, I think there's people who are either good at a certain thing, which is putting, like, you have to see patterns, you have to look at the whole, right? And you have to be good at going real far out and real minuscule at the same time, which is also very hard. And so me, right, like I said, at this sort of stage of my career and my life, all the project managers agree with me. Like, I don't need to, like, I'm preaching to the converted when I tell the project managers what they need. I mean, all day long, I will help them survive it. I can give you strategies, and I can tell you kind of probably what's going on in order, like, these are the things that you can do to protect your own little patch of land. Mm-hmm. But for me, like I said, I'm like the Karen of project management. I'm like, can I talk to your manager, please? Excuse me. Is your manager home? So that's where I am at my career. I need to talk to leadership. And like I said, there's also something to be said for the fact that I don't have any interest, and there's maybe this is just a personality thing. I have no interest, and I have zero emotion when it comes to blame. Like, accountability can be free of blame and fault. Mm. So if you're a business owner, like I said, you're the best cupcake maker in the world, but you're a disaster in every other way.
And you want them to, when you walk in, they don't know you. Everything's objective, unbiased look on their business. You don't want them to feel like you're attacking them, but you want them to recognize that they were the problem. Right.
Well, and I think it's sort of the other way around too. And that's the other thing I found, and again, where I sort of shifted my business model, and that some of this is needs-based. So when you're marketing, that's the other thing why people start to sell snake oil. Because they're like, I have operations, like a potions on it, right inside my trench coat. The problem is that it's like it's needs based. So most of the time, honestly, there are a lot of people who have absolutely no idea they're the problem. And to me,
they don't want to.
And that's not my job to convince them. That's my point, is that that's not the business I want to be in. I'm not a professional convincer. So I think for me, again, like I was saying, good people, and I think the right people always end up finding each other. Because if you are a person who's like, well, all that, I don't know, all that resistance, we're not for each other.
Right.
Because that is not part of, like I said, I'm here for the work. And if all of that other stuff, there's other methods, there's other professions, there's other disciplines that can help that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what is it that needs to happen here? And let's start from there. And there are leaders who are like, yeah, let's get into it. Because like I said, I want to be positive about it. I want to be, I'm here for like, here's some things that I've learned over the years. Let's get into it. What are you working with? Let's do this. And people are like, oh, cool. So when you're working with people who are passionate and excited, like, oh, this will help. Oh, great. And they're like, oh, yeah, actually, some of it's going to reflect and be like, I might have to change some of that in themselves. Mm-hmm. So you're talking a particular type of leader that I think is amenable to a consultant. Like, I think you already have to start in a place where you're susceptible. Like I said, in New York, at the end of the day, I started to feel like a door-to-door plumber. Like knock on your door, be like, are your pipes clogged? How's your toilet? Is your sink good? Let me see your sink. Is it good? Did you put something down you shouldn't have? Like, that's not the business that I'm in. It's like, you have to call me. Like, if your sink is stopped up, call me. I can't tell you
that you have
plumbing problems. You know what I'm saying? So that's, right.
I see it. Yeah. I see it. Right. It's so many.
Yeah, it's like the metaphors. I could do them all day long, but it is true. It starts to be, and like I said, if this is
where they will convince you have a problem. Your toilet is clogged, even though everything's flowing. Your toilet's clogged.
And AI, again, we can table AI for if I'm invited back on the podcast, we can table the AI of it all, because that is really, really thrown a loop. Because
everyone's an expert. Well,
and also listen, it like everything else with a tool, there's such good parts about it, and there's other parts like, and we're just in one of those times in history where we are dealing with something that, right, it's going to have to course correct and sort of probably, even out somewhere, shake out, but who knows where that's going to be yet. So I think it's just gotten everybody so, a kerfuffle is like I like to call it. It's crazy. So it does, obviously. My point in saying that is that for people in your business and in mine, it touches so many different ways. Where also, because of AI, everyone's a marketer now, because they do all the things, they create all the videos, everything's just
graphics,
all the things, and so what that means. Where you're like telling people like, stop doing that. So
and here's the thing too. And here's what, there was some videos, short clips I put out the other day where I spoke at that organization up north about the use of AI in marketing. And AI is a great tool, right? But this goes back to, is your business about you? Is your business about your employees? Or is your business about your consumer? Right? So it's consumer attention. It's consumer behavior. Right. So if you're posting an AI generated video and now you have to argue with someone in the comments for the next hour about water usage, do you think you should have posted that AI generated video?
Right.
No.
Right.
Use that AI to help you create a content calendar to tell you what kind of video you should create. Right. And then just go make a video.
Because it can do, and also in different industries, right? It has definitely such value and use case. There's so many of them, I can't even think of them, that most of the time they're not, like, I don't want to say consumer facing, because they're not. Like AlphaFold, right? Like, it's the DeepMind created, and I think I don't even know if you would call it an algorithm, I think, where in certain, diseases, proteins fold this way, that way, whatever. They basically solved, because it used to be crystallography, right? Remember, where like you had to go through this very, very difficult, very labor-intensive, expensive process of trying to figure out, I guess, how the protein is shaped or whatever. And then, like, again, I'm not a science person, but the point is that they basically built this model where they've, like, all the proteins and the ways that they folded have been solved. Mm-hmm. Like, we did that.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, that would be a pretty good use of artificial intelligence in that way, right? So for me, I do think that most of the things that it's great at, for example, it's like aggregating information and finding things and pulling things up. There's, again, a really great use case for, we're all moving so quickly, we're all doing more with less. So if it can, serve as a companion for people to be able to do stuff that they can't do during the amount of time that they're asked to do something, but it shouldn't be outsourced your critical thinking. Because no, it shouldn't outsource your writing emails. What?
Right. Because
what?
And here's what I say. When you meet that individual in person, when you run into them at an event, they're going to know right away if Kevin Shook actually wrote that email. Because of the way I talk. I'm not like, good day, sir, M dash.
Right. Right.
I hope this email finds you well, M dash.
Totally. And here's the thing, and like the long game of it for me as a person who's interested in project management, delivery, operations, all the things, leadership, management, if you are removing all of the opportunity for the people who are lower in the organization to be able to learn the things, right? Without pressing it, who is going to lead next if you are taking those opportunities and the real meat, like every mistake I've ever made is like everyone's learning. Like that's how you do stuff. Right. You have to get into it. You have to know. Like I said, there's no cheat code for that.
You have to be a practitioner.
Of course, because if you're looking honestly, like, if I fire these 3 project managers and we just get this piece of software and okay, but then what? Then what? Because also people forget, I mean, listen, again, this is a different podcast. And again, this is just how I feel about it personally. This is my own personal opinion. But if you are so dependent on like the bigger organizations to be able, like, what if that goes down? Like you will not know how to do anything.
We're not guaranteed the internet.
Well, and it's like, it's literally forced dependence on them forever. Mm-hmm. It's like, because that's how you are like, absolute, like the walled garden that should be the IP of your organization, and to be able to develop the operating principles, develop a way of doing business, and let that be the way that you do things. And then you teach that to the people, that becomes good customer service, that becomes good delivery, that becomes good managers, good training, all of it. There's no model, there's no output that you can get in place of that. And if you are, good luck. Talk to me in 5 years. Good luck. Because, right? And kids out of school, and like I said, and I've been long saying this, that people, honestly, I've had it also with all the knowledge work and all the idiot management jobs up and down the organization. Everyone's like, well, I'm going to go into the trades. And I'm like, you should.
Oh, yeah.
You should.
Heavenly.
I have such a reverence for people, craftsmen. And I think it's a thing that needs to come back, and it is coming back for good reason. And not just because, for the monetary part of it, because we don't know how to do anything anymore, and work with your hands, figure it out, understand it, right? So I think I will say I have put some stuff into AI, and I don't use ChatGPT again, full disclosure, but there's a lot of information. And whether or not you can go through that information and then check your sources, because you should, because they're wrong a lot of the time. But it is a pretty damn good start to get to something. Like I could throw a dart, it'll get me close to, like, when I do research, it'll give me an outline or something that I at least can go on. It is a good learning tool, just like the internet, just like, so there's an incredible way that I think we just have to.
But you said it, tool.
A tool.
Third bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Now that you live in Indiana.
Yep.
I love Pizza King.
I have that bumper sticker. Actually, I took it from it.
Did you?
I swear to God, it's on my refrigerator.
I'm gonna check.
Yep.
I'm gonna do a surprise audit of your kitchen.
Totally. Yep.
Do you really?
Yeah, because it was like literally. And actually, I have a funny story about Pizza King.
You're baptized then. You are a Hoosier.
So I have this is a joke that has gone on, and it's taken on a life of its own. So many years ago, when my wife and I first started dating, this is 10 years ago, I move very quickly when I do things. And most of the time, like I said, it's within pretty good accuracy.
See if it works. If it works, let's keep going. If it doesn't work, let's go to something else.
And I'm like, let's go, and not like the move fast, break things, Mark Zuckerberg way of it all. That's not necessarily what I mean. However, sometimes with things, especially with myself, it's like the cobbler with no shoes. I would never in a million trillion years probably do things that for a client that I just end up doing for myself. Case in point, I needed a rug for my apartment at the time, and I was like, I just ordered a rug. And somehow I ordered this rug. It was for a living room. And it was like those things that now you see, like the memes, like it was like from Temu. It was like this big. It was literally, it was like a bath mat.
For your hamster cage.
Right, totally. So from that point on, and my wife is the exact opposite. She will do, like, Wirecutter and all the reviews. It's like if she's buying like a microwave oven, it's like a master's thesis. analysis of like all the microwaves that have ever been made and like why you would buy this microwave. And like she would sometimes order all the microwaves and then just test all the microwaves. So that's why we're made for each other, because we're exactly opposite. So this ongoing joke of like, basically I'm like, order it. She's like the rug, like the rug. Right. So it's a thing. It has gone on and on. So fast forward to our first week in Indiana. Of course, we're so exhausted we can't cook. So I'm like, oh, Pizza King. So I go in and she's with the dog. And I'm like, I'll go in, I'll order it. I order the pizza. They're like, here's your pizza. It's this fucking big. I didn't even, I ordered the 12, whatever it was.
You didn't look at.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It was like the small, and like to me in New York, like small is like it could feed a 50 people, right? Like in New York. So for me, I just didn't, and I was so tired or whatever. So I walk out. In my mind, I'm like,
the rug.
And like, she's gonna bring up the rug. She's gonna bring up the rug. And don't you know, I mean, rightly so, I deserved it, but literally I came out and we were so hungry. We had been driving, I think it was like literally the day that we got here. We were so hungry, and I walk out with this pizza and I was like.
Did she say the rug?
She said the rug.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, but other than that experience, so now I know better with the Pizza King, but I love the squares. I'm a fan.
Have you had Mercurios?
I have.
Did you know you can get like a bowl of toppings? Like, so you can get all the good stuff in a bowl. Yeah. And it's like $8, $9.
Like to get like a salad?
Italian, like cheese, pepperoni, Italian sauce, like whatever pizza you would order.
But in a bowl.
It's baked in a
At Mercurios?
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's another hidden gem for you.
And so how would you, right, wrapping it all together, and again, what interested me, and like I said, the reason you and I hit it off so well, I think that there's people, right, that do things a certain way, right? I think there's a way of doing and a way of being where it's pretty black and white in some ways, and then everything else, obviously, there's like the gray pretty much is overarching it all. But I think that the black and white of it is very simple in that when you are working with a client, right? To me, again, that is the first and the foremost of it all. And that's how the business of mine also, even back in the day, evolved, in that it's not like I'm selling a list of services where like people would sort of pick off a menu in that way. They would call me because they trusted me. Mm-hmm. Oh, can you help me with that?
Oh, that's the only way I get business.
There you go. So that's what I mean.
Because for some wild reason, they trust me.
Well, right. And I think, right, it's so if you were to hire someone else, even if you weren't the practitioner or the expert in
there's a lot better options.
But you're also managing the relationship. So even, again, I think that that's the value, right, of building these types of relationships, and that, if you're not the best, like, let's just say, for example, like, coder, if you were doing something for someone, you could get someone to help you with that, but you would then obviously still own and very much have
I'm responsible for the outcome.
Correct. So I think, in doing so, I think that's my third bumper sticker. To me, right? I'm the goal person. Like, tell me what it is that you want to get, right? Just, that's where I live. And like I said, then we have to go all the way back to if there's something in the way of that, because there might not be, right? But like I said, so I think similar to you, if the meat of your job is trying to get through the BS in order to get to the goal, that's where the problem is, right? It's not just as simple as like, can you make this video for me? Or can you print this project for me? If I'm all of the obstacles and all the hoops that I'm jumping through, that becomes what actually my service is to you. That's to me, that's where the problem is. So the bumper sticker of that, and how I would say it, is whether or not, and how the relationship that you have with that client, that's going to be the success of it. Because either they're going to be into you helping fix that, because that's the only way you're going to deliver your product, right? Is if you get to the meat of that and you figure out what else is going on in order to fix the thing that you're trying to deliver. So to me, that's where it separates. It literally is a fork in the road. It's like you have those types of clients and then you have those types of clients. Because if the business that we're doing is to just get to the thing where I have to fight so hard to just get what I need to do what you asked me to do, that is very different from like you successfully producing someone's podcast, that all that garbage just isn't involved. To me, those are two completely binary systems of being, and the relationship that you have with the client. I don't know what kind of relationship, if they're resistant to, it's available on that other side. So like it becomes a one-way street to me. Those are the clients that are, I think, the best long-term partners, that are able to see themselves in some of the problem. But if you're not looking to rub anyone's nose in it, and again, like I said, it's not about ego. It's not about any of that. If you're truly, genuinely like, just let me help you, and they're into that, and I think you can develop long-term like legacy type clients with that, because you can grow with them. You can do different things because they might ask you, because they trust you to do different things. That's how you'll grow the business.
It happens every time.
Absolutely.
It pivots every time.
Yeah. So that's it. So.
Are you hungry?
Yes. So thank you for having me on. This was great.
No, this is cool. Welcome to the Midwest. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot to do. I'm excited though. I think that's it. I think, I needed my time to distance myself, like I said, from that part of how I was offering kind of like my services, what I want to do, because I'd rather kind of maybe help build things rather than like always just kind of coming in an emergency situation necessarily. I mean, I can
prevent the emergency.
Kind of. I'd rather just be like, hey, listen, like maybe you shouldn't need that other part of the thing. So I think to me it exists a little bit more naturally and it's more fun, I think. I mean, solving problems is fun also because the outcome, but if
you can prevent it, have a strong foundation.
Well, and if the client doesn't learn from it and like they just call you in at the end stage every time, it's like, really, that part's less fun. So, I think you and I would share that that's definitely true, is that it's just more fun to, work with people that are cool and that, you can help them, and that's what I'm into. So we're digging it so far, and one day at a time.
And you got to see your first Mummies game.
I did. It's honestly, I'm ashamed to say that I had such plans to go to so many more. So hopefully the season's not over yet. But we've been so busy with the house. Like by the end of the day, I'm like spent.
Well, and I think there's 4 games for the next 4 days. I think they were on a 6.
Yeah.
But we have weather on the radar.
I can hear it from my backyard. So every time I'm like, oh God, I should be there. So I have to get on it.
It's been cool.
I mean, it's great. I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it.
They got a few home runs in this year, over the fence home runs.
Oh yeah? Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. No, thanks for coming up here. Yeah. We'll do more of this. Hopefully Richmond's good with you.
Yeah.
They're nice to you. They're kind to you.
Everyone's been great so far.
Some opportunity, a lot going on. Yeah. So
I know. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, who knew? I did not know, again, before we moved here, that all this was going on with, investment in the downtown and just the whole sort of philosophy of all of that. And, it's great.
That's going to be a whole new city in 2 years.
I mean, to me, it's like, honestly, I mean, not to sound corny or anything, but I think it's honestly like a once in a generation opportunity to make a difference.
Oh, once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
This right here will be a bedroom.
Yep. I mean,
this will be an apartment.
Nice view. I mean, these windows are out of control. The architecture, the fact that even though obviously it's gone through different phases of sort of, economic downturn, all the things. The one thing I have to say is that for the most part, even just in Richmond, the architecture is still here. It's been repurposed that they have to roll back. But that being said.
Isn't that funny how everything evolves? Yeah. Because literally the cheese grater on the Harris building, there were pictures from the newspaper many years ago when they covered that up, and they were so proud of that.
I know.
And now we have pictures of tearing it off.
Well, it was so dated, but you could imagine, like at the time that it was done, it was probably so cool and so innovative. It's funny. As a matter of fact, I'm just looking at this, that we should do some live fact checking before I go, because I was doing research about Richmond before I came here, way before I met you, just whatever. And there's a lot of really amazing things that have happened here for like, I don't want to say a small town because it's not, but not a lot of people have heard of it. I mean, outside of, this part of the country. Francis Jenkins, first ever public motion picture screening
In that building right there.
in 1894, right?
It's one of ours right there.
Yep. The first school bus was invented here, if I'm not mistaken, in 1914. First compact car by Crosley, actually. Also, I have a record player by them. 1939. Going back a little bit, 1835, Solomon Dickinson invented and patented the cooking stove. Yep. Let's see, whatever. Obviously, most people know this one, 1927, and the anniversary is coming up. Hoagie Carmichael recorded Stardust at Jeanette Records, right? The very first public high school orchestra was in Richmond, Indiana, 1900. And if this is still being given out, I don't know. But apparently there was a Nobel Prize of Citizenship, and Richmond's won twice, in 1987 and 2009. Yeah. And I think there were more that I didn't write down here, but
There's
crazy. It's a lot of stuff for a small town. It's the rose capital of U.S., the Rose City. That's why they used to call it that.
The ice skates are made here for the. I wouldn't say. I don't know. I don't know the proper what it's called. But.
Yeah, and in 1884, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but last name's Henley, invited the modern ball bearing wheel on for the roller skate, and the first one sold to Wilbur Wright of the Wright brothers, who later opened a bicycle shop because I think maybe they were from here. They went to high school here, but then moved to, I guess, Dayton or whatever, Ohio.
That's part of the flying mummies. That's the flying part of the mummies.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
And we have 2 mummies.
For a small town, don't you think? Mm-hmm. I was shocked. And right.
2026, Jack moves here from New York.
Right.
That should be on the list.
For years to come, I will be added to this list. But I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm a history nerd, so I think these things are important to me. I'm like super excited about it. And I'm like, literally, I should work for the tourism board because I'm like telling people, I'm like, did you know? Like an old-time radio show. Did you know? Right? But that's huge.
We can turn this black and white.
I think we should. I'll come up with a little suit on, a little hat. Yeah. So I think we could go on and on for days. So hopefully I get invited back and we can keep talking. And then
I'll talk to my boss.
I'll talk to my boss. You talk to the powers that you talk to leadership, and then you get back to me.
3 to 5 business days.
3 to 5 business days. You'll have an answer. All right. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
This was great. Oh, also too, just to know, just to round up the thing. The last time I was here, you were bit by a snake. So I just going to want to leave it on that. And that's how I knew that I wanted to come on this show, because your reaction was exactly this. Well, I think he's biting me right now. That was a she, right? I think she's biting me right now. That was it. And in fact, she was.
She was. I thought about it.
And I was like, I love this guy. I'm definitely coming on this show.
Life Unscripted with Kevin Shook.